Meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, November 21st. It is now 6:41 PM. Town Council, meeting at Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
Roll call, Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
And Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Presentation of a podium by the West Warwick High School Facilities Operations and Management Pathway.
Good evening, council members, officials. So yes, we're finally here. It's taken a long time. The Facilities Management Program, West Warwick High School, is a career and tech program. Here tonight, this is their last day of school before they. The podium that they work on, so facilities management is the study of the built environment, the effect of. But during the process of learning how to do different things, a lot of community service projects. So, and town manager not reached out. We were very excited to do the podium. It's a handcrafted piece of furniture by the students that can reside here in the town chamber, and everybody can see it. It will have the emblem on it for the town. But I do want to talk a little bit about the amount of time that we get it here. Just briefly. Since COVID, we've been trying to catch up with a lot of the work. Every student that's part of this program is responsible to complete 2 national certifications and 100 work-based learning hours, which are outside of school. And these students have really stepped up and made up a lot of lost time coming from COVID. And so last year, we were able to take on one extra project, and we go the podium because our students were asked to design, build, and install the monument to the 21st fire. So we bumped it because they were able to take something that celebrated 100 lives. So here now, finally finished. I'm going to turn it over to the students. Keegan Gormley, that's to come on up. Nathan Sharpen, Ray Ripley, Mike Totten, and Garrett Jarbo, and Bella. Come up with us. Bella comes to all of our outdoor events whenever we present. Why don't you guys bring this right over to the center? Do you mind if we put it right up on that step?
Looks good to me.
Take it off.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Is that seal on the other side too? Looks great. Nice job. Awesome job.
So first, we started with the design. We had to obtain specific measurements from the town manager. Then we had to go out and sketch solutions and draw the final product using AutoCAD, a drafting software. After we have the product drawn, we have to transfer it from AutoCAD to VCarve to be able to cut it out on our CNC machine. And then we created a 3D model using Onshape of the microphone base.
For the prototype, we fabricated a prototype using a medium density fiberboard. We then put it into excuse me. We then put that into use and tested its efficiency.
In order to redesign it, we had to adjust the dimensions based on the specifications from the town manager. We edited all the drawings using AutoCAD and VCarve software.
And from there, we had to select the wood species that we used. So we used white ash, walnut, and maple for this piece. And then we calculated the rough amount we were going to need for the material. And that came out to only like $140. And then we took a rough estimate of how much wood we were going to use. And we scaled all that wood down to proper dimensions. From there, we cut the pieces of wood to rough shape. So for the top, smoothed it out, got the right dimensions for it. And then we created the town seals for the front and the back. Then we milled the top, jointed all the edges to make it nice and smooth. Then from there, we did finishing. We put oil and water-based poly on it, so it looks nice and pretty.
It's beautiful. Actually, so you have a seal there. It looks like you have a little badge on top of that with some words.
Yeah, so that's what high school tech class.
Perfect. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good job.
Maybe the other way. So they couldn't face that way, right? Oh, either way. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys very much.
Yes.
Snapshot it on the screen. Now we got to install it.
Thank you very much. Now you can go.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would make your escape now. Yep.
And before you leave, I want to, before you leave, hold on one second. I want to thank you. I know it took plenty of time. I know we've been explaining why it took time, and Sean, thank you for that very fine explanation. But if anybody has to see what they've done, not just here, but the Station Memorial design that they did there is phenomenal. So excellent job there, and I don't mind being bumped for that, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Have a good
Thank you
Thanksgiving.
very much. Thanks, Sean.
Consent agenda, approval of the minutes from the November 7th, 2023 regular town council meeting.
Move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinances, second reading of request from 60E Main LLC for tax stabilization development agreement for the remodeling modernization of an industrial mill building located at 5460 East Main Street and further designated as Assessors Plat 18, Lot 61, as amended.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Good evening.
Good evening, Council
Yeah,
President,
no.
members. I was hoping to use that beautiful stand, but oh well, certainly understand. Thank you so much. My client Brandon Havner and myself are back for a second reading of the ordinance, as you may be aware. I've updated that Exhibit B to the terms that was discussed by the members of the council, which reflects so that the construction period, the town would not lose any taxes. It stays stable for now 4-year period. And then Council Vice President Williamson, I also took care of that year 7, where it's now no longer year 7 plus, and made sure that for the tax rate and whatever the taxes would be to be determined based upon whatever the rate, as well as at that time period.
And I appreciate that. One other thing that's 7 years out. I'm not sure we know what the value will be. I mean, you have a value in there too.
Yes, that's correct, because that value was based upon, as we discussed last time when Mrs. Kosha was here, the income approach based upon the pro forma financials that we provided at the time.
But I'm still not sure, 7 years out, we're gonna commit to, but, so that should be a TBD also, I believe, but other than that, I'm good. Yeah, because
Okay,
who
if
knows,
that's-
who knows what's gonna happen,
Sure.
who knows where,
Okay.
where valuations are gonna go.
It might even
I
go
know
in your
it's-
favor.
You never know.
That's
It
true.
might,
That's
yes,
true.
so,
So
yes,
we'd
other
be
than
fine with
that,
that amendment too, so.
yes. I'll make a motion to amend Exhibit B, year 7, the total value to be a TBD as well, or actually, the whole year is a TBD.
Yeah. Whole line.
Yeah.
Any questions or concerns on that? All in favor for the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we're still on this. so.
Yeah.
Council President, one other clarification for the solicitor too. I'm not sure if it would need to be amended, but in the ordinance part, in the whereas clauses, I put in an estimated number of that 687. So I think that's fine, but I just wanted to point that as well.
Second whereas, paragraph.
It is page 1.
Yep. So I'll make the motion to amend it to remove that as well. To be D, however you want to do it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
To be
All in favor on that amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
apologize. One last one that I just picked up as well.
Nope, that's fine.
Within the tax stabilization agreement itself, in that similar vein with the whereas clause, it should be amended to page 3, which is actually the first page of the tax stabilization agreement.
Yes. So, yes. So not only did we amend the ordinance, we're amending the tax stabilization agreement as well. Whereas the amount of $687,995 will be to be D.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other discussion on this ordinance?
No.
This is an ordinance. Any public discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Jay? Yes. Mary Beth?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
thank you for your patience and
Thank you.
coming back and
Good luck and thank you.
listening.
and
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing it complete.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Happy
much. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Second reading of ordinance 2023-25, amending Appendix C traffic ordinances, handicap parking on Sunset Avenue.
Move the ordinance.
Second. Moving seconded. I know Al's on, but this is a pretty cut and dry. The priest reached out to myself and I reached out to the traffic committee and they went out there and they authorized handicap parking right outside the church. So any questions or concerns on that? Any public comment on that ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Jay? Yes. Mary Beth?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
Business licenses. Tag day for West Warwick firefighters, Jason Silvera for a junkyard license, and Friends of the West Warwick Public Library for a raffle.
over the licenses.
Second.
Moving second. I've had some discussion with number 2 on this. What states that's a junk? Al?
Al can tell you that.
That matter was brought before John Bernero in the municipal court for some violations. And John negotiated with the people, and it was his suggestion that they seek that license. That's how it's there. I was not involved in the discussion.
All right, I'm just asking because I was brought to light of the land and what's being used for, and it's definitely not, I mean, if you're putting cars on it for customers and then just fixing them and sending them on their way, that's not a salvage or a junkyard. That's more of just a place to store cars to keep your customers rolling. I mean, if you've got cars there for parts and dismantling, to me, that's a junkyard. And I know Jay moved from Phoenix, right on Main Street, and there were more cars on the street there than what's actually being stored in his lot. So that's,
David, I was not aware this was going to be on the agenda until I saw it. My suggestion on this is to table it to the next meeting and give me an opportunity to get into the details on it.
oh, I don't want to interfere with the business. If the businessman is fine with the junkyard, I'm just concerned because my definition and the state's definition of a junkyard is not what I'm seeing on that.
No, they're totally different.
So that's why I'm wondering why he has to be registered as a junkyard.
So what is on the property? It says auto repair and salvage.
That's what the name,
That's his name.
That's what he was asked to put on there, but
no,
it's
that's what the name of the business is.
yeah, but no, but he was asked to apply for this license because he's,
I'm not sure.
Jay, do you want to come up and explain it a little better? I know you're here, so. No.
Hi. Right.
How you doing?
Hi.
All right, so give me a little history of what,
I've been renting the land since 2013. I've had any problems. They told me to apply for a salvage license. $200 a year. I said, that's fine. It said, it was just to accommodate for a neighbor that was harassing the town for some of my vehicles.
you're good with it then?
Yeah, I'll pay for it.
So, Al, are you comfortable with the designation, though? As a
In all honesty, Mary Beth, I'd have to look at it because and that junkyard and auto salvage, there's technical difficulties and I'd like the opportunity to take a look at it.
So,
It's next door to a salvage yard.
yeah. So we want you to have a license. There's no doubt about that. I think what we might be hung up on is which license. And I don't know if you have any input, Sarah.
I would have to look further into the whole situation before I could.
So
give
if-
that.
Maybe it's wise to remove that for this time, just so everybody is because I'd hate to have you get the junkyard license and then have somebody tell you 2 months from now, well, it should have been an auto
So
repair
why don't
license
we
or
let
a-"
Al look at it,
Exactly.
you know, and.
So why don't
but-
we,
but This doesn't
Yeah.
stop him from doing business.
no,
correct?
absolutely not.
No,
That's not-
Mary Beth,
I don't want him
can
to
it
get
be
fined
just,
either. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
we're asking, it's for our
This was
benefit.
court ordered
Yes.
Okay.
to do this.
my suggestion is leave things as they are and table it till the next meeting. And I will have a response.
Okay. So,
What were you gonna say, Tim?
I was gonna say, it's not part of the court order. There was a recommendation of a negotiated settlement and Judge Bernero suggested this course to take, which he followed. Now the question simply is he getting the right license at the local level?
right.
And should he be concerned about any state level licenses? So if Al has the time to look at it, but you're not gonna be stopped from doing business.
No. Business as usual, I would say, but I would make a motion to remove the second item from the agenda, table it for today.
Well, you want to just table that portion?
Yes,
of-
that one.
I'll second that.
Can it be tabled till the next meeting?
Table
Yeah,
till
Date
December-
certain.
December 5th.
December 5th, yep.
Yeah, December 5.
Thank you.
Table?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ayes have it. Everyone,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the business licenses? Any public comment on the business licenses? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
New business hazard mitigation plan update.
How are you?
Marilyn.
Good. This is a plan that was approved in 2019. We're required by FEMA to update this plan every 5 years. We're in that window. We've hired a consultant to perform the necessary rewrites. We've had staff meetings with our steering committee, which is Jeff Caldwell and Glenn and Jeff Chapelaine and Jeff Barone and not many, but Mark, myself, and the consultants, Sumara and Rupta Roy. And this is our official town council presentation to you. We've had input from the public from a previous public hearing. And like I said, several steering committee meetings. We have 3 new elements to include in the plan, which is related to climate change, social equity, and environmental justice. And we're also going to include responses we're going to study responses, how we will respond to cybersecurity, some terrorism, biological incidents that occur in the town, if there's a biological spill or anything like that. So that being said, we've got a lot of work to do still and things to add to the plan. And I will turn it over to Sumara now from Weston and Sampson.
State your name for the record.
Susan Mara, project manager at Weston and Sampson. Yeah, you can pull up the presentation whenever you can. Thanks, Marilyn. She sort of gave an overall summary, but we have a presentation prepared for you tonight, just so everyone can kind of get their head around what a hazard mitigation plan is, why it's important for the town to invest time and money in doing the update. So I'm the project manager. We have a team at Weston and Sampson. My assistant project manager is Rupsha Roy. She's a PhD in geochemistry, so she's sort of the brains of the operation, and I'm helping to organize the plan and assisting with Marilyn and doing the public outreach. So next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so did a lot of intro. So what is hazard mitigation? Why is it important to you? Why is it important to your public sector employees who have a ton of things to do, demands on their attention? Why is it important for the town to work on this and expend resources and time on it? So what it is, it's the hazard mitigation plan is a very specific, very structured plan that FEMA and also the state agency REMA, so Federal Emergency Management Agency, Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, require towns to do in order to be eligible for funding opportunities to work on a number of hazard-related grant projects. So the process, and we'll talk a little bit about it, helps the town to be more resilient, plan for better, respond better to the hazards that you have been experienced over the years. Next slide, please. I mentioned there's eligibility for grant funding. Being more prepared is a good outcome. Having working with the public to let them know what you're working on. I will say I was formerly a municipal planner for about 20 years, and we worked on hazard mitigation plans in my city. And when we kind of sit down, and you're just kind of like, oh, I have to sit down here and spend all this time, and you're bringing in the EMA director and the police department and the fire department, and you're just thinking, wow, this is just a lot of people sitting around the table. But sitting around and talking about hazard mitigation and management of emergencies was actually a really good thing for us to do. I think you'll see that you do save money when you get all of your departments aligned and talking together. In most 80% of the work that we're talking about, your town is already doing. Getting everyone coordinated, sitting around the same table and talking about this, like, it just is a huge potential benefit for the town. And I will say, worked with a lot of towns through this process with Warwick, got really great collaboration already. They're already very well situated to implement some of these things because your departments are very collaborative, not siloed, and that is, you should be very happy to hear that. So our metric is for every dollar that you spend on a mitigation plan like this. And I believe this is grant funded. So the town's commitment to this is not paying for me, but just your staff time for Marilyn and for other folks that are participating in the process. But for every dollar that's spent, you get $6 back through savings and disaster recovery. Next slide. Next slide. These are the chapters that we're required to include. You know, it's very specific what has to be included in these plans. Like it's sort of like FEMA gives you a very specific outline and you have to do it. So it's sort of like a three-part process. The first thing you do is look at it's called hazard profiles. And that's basically like, what are the types of emergencies that affect your community? So a community in the Northeast is going to have a very different hazard profile from a community in California or somewhere in the Midwest. Like the types of hazards are different. So they want each community to think about, like, is it snowstorms? Is it flooding? Well, it's always flooding, but and then the second one is looking at what your facilities and local assets are. You know, what are the opportunities you have for responding to emergencies, and also then what are the most vulnerable things about your community? You know, do you have places where if there's flooding, people can't get out of because like there's one way in and one way out. So it asks you to like think about those vulnerabilities. And then it asks you to, and this is where we come in as the experts, is to look at like what the risk assessment is. If you have these hazards in these facilities and these vulnerabilities, like, what's your biggest risk? Once we know that, we can start to put together what are the things that the town could and should be working on to mitigate that risk. So they lead you through these sort of steps. And along the way, as Marilyn mentioned, we're working with your local committee, your local department heads to, understand what your profiles are, your vulnerabilities are, and your facilities are. Next slide, please. This is our schedule. We're working on wrapping up a lot of the chapters at this point. We've had a couple of meetings, including a public meeting. And we're now doing an update for the town council and expect to be able to provide the town with our draft chapters in the next month, 4 to 6 weeks. Next slide. The hazard profiles, talked about this a little bit. Outside of like the really typical ones, right? Like we talk about the northeasters, blizzards. There's a lot more incidents of high heat. As Marilyn mentioned, FEMA and REMA are requiring that the town, think about how climate change affects all of the different hazards that happen. What we're seeing, what the science is telling us, is that the hazards aren't getting better, they're getting more frequent and they're getting worse. So your current planning and projections for like a 20-year storm are probably not really a 20-year storm anymore. It might be a 10-year storm. It might be a 5-year storm. So things are changing. And so FEMA is trying to get, communities to recognize this so that they can plan for it. And the human cost hazards, that's something that the town had asked us to include. Those are not normally included in a hazard mitigation plan. It's normally like natural and climate caused disasters, but because the town was recognizing this as something that they are very concerned about, and because the process for responding to all of those emergencies is very similar, we are including them in the plan. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So the mitigation goals is sort of where we are now in our overall process. If we think we understand the hazards and the assets, and so we are putting together ideas about how the town can plan for, react to, and then recover from disasters. Next slide, please. Mitigation actions aren't just construction projects. They are zoning that can protect, flood-prone areas. They are land use. We talk about, parks, right, are really good community resources, but can also provide some flood storage, right, if they're designed properly. So, the plan tries to, look at what resources that you have and try to challenge the town to see ways to use your existing resources to make your community more resilient. Next slide, please. I like this slide because, again, it talks about there are things you can do before an event, and that has to do with like local communication, changing your codes to be more resilient, to require, in some cases, better flood protection regulations. there's the during the event, the actual emergency response, and then there's the following the event, making sure your vulnerable populations are taken care of, not just during the event, but in the week to 2 weeks after the event where they might be, out of touch with services. Next slide. The next two slides, or you can go to the next one, are these are our mitigation actions from the last plan. And so what we're doing right now is working with Marilyn and the team to look at them and say, okay, we can take this out because we did this, sort of updating, things that have been done since, in the past 5 years. And also looking at the other ones that haven't been done and say, like, maybe this is not a priority anymore, or maybe there are additional priorities. So we're sort of nearing the end of putting together the information and putting together a package of potential mitigation actions for the town. Next slide. So that's the end of my presentation. I don't know if anybody has any questions about what we're doing, why we're doing it. We can share the presentation with you. You can take a look at the draft mitigation actions. Again, we're working with Marilyn and the chiefs and the EMA personnel to make sure that they're looking at it and responding to it as well.
Any question for Susan?
No, thank you. That's a lot you went through. Yeah.
No, I did. I went through fast. I
No,
figured it's,
but that's perfect.
No,
yeah.
sorry.
No, I know.
Perfect.
It's not, I mean, again, it's not the most, and I'm actually sad the kids left because it would have been fun to have them here too. Because it's, it's a challenge to get people interested in, emergency management and these things, because they're not things that like they feel like it affect them on a day to day, but they do.
They
And
do.
this process helps you, pick your head up and think about them and make a decision. So thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
If you
Thank
have
you,
any
Susan.
questions?
I'd like to add one thing. If anyone in the community or anyone in this room has anything they'd like to add to the plan, as we move forward and we read chapters and review this, please feel free to include it with us so that we can address some of the situations here in town, whether it's drainage issues, emergency issues, or building fixes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Have a good
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
Sue.
Discussion action, process to fill Ward 5 Town Council vacancy.
All right. So I know I read off the vacancies last time. Tammy did send me off. Muni code has 3 different processes. I didn't get a chance to read all 3, but on the charter 403 vacancies, that's the one that we just had through the charter change, pretty cut and dry. A vacancy shall exist in the town council if a member dies, resigns, ceases to meet the qualifications for membership, is convicted of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude, and has exhausted all appeals from said conviction, or is absent from 4 consecutive months of council meetings unless such absence are excused by majority vote of the whole council membership, with reasons therefore stated at the time of appearing in the journal of the meetings from which the council member was excused. Any vacancy in membership of the town council which occurs less than 2 years prior to the next general election shall be filled by the town council until the next general election, when the office shall be filled for unexpired term thereof, provided that person selected to fill said vacancy shall be a member of the same political party as a person whose position they are selected to fill. In the event that the council member was unaffiliated, the council may appoint any qualified elector who is unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party. So that, out of our code of ordinances, is pretty cut and dry. We just changed that just the last election, if I'm correct. So, again, I know there's been interviews, there's been processes. I asked the council, would they want to take the advice of the Republican Party, or would they want to take names starting today with them, with the individuals filling out a letter of interest? So that's what's out there. So I leave it up to the majority of the council.
Well, I mean, I think that, well, I believe, and I've had a conversation with Mark, and certainly is a qualified candidate. I think it would be wrong for us not to post the opening, set a period of time for which people can send in a letter of interest either to Mark or to Sarah. I'm not sure. I'll let you guys arm wrestle over that. And go through a process. I mean, we just don't, I don't think it's, I think that the Republican Town Committee did a wonderful job. They went through a process, they identified some people, but there may be people who have some interest. And it would not be fair for us to exclude or go through this process without giving them an opportunity to at least, that's correct. That's correct. So what that time frame is, I would hope it would be fairly quickly. We do have holidays, but I would.
Fairly quickly and make sure I'm doing the right job. It's
Correct.
not something you want. You want to make sure you do the.
I don't agree with that, and this is why. I'm still a little bent when this came up about, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm unaffiliated, so I wouldn't be able to be in consideration for this seat, and I think that's wrong. I think that it's discriminatory against the unaffiliated people. You're unaffiliated. I don't know if you feel the same way. I think I'm qualified to be on the council, but I wouldn't be able to. But that's what went forward.
Mhm.
I'm abiding by that rule. I don't like it, but that's the rule, so I'll follow it. In this case, whether it's a Republican, in this case, it's a Republican seat, I believe it's not an election. I think if it has to be filled by a Republican, it should come from the Republican Party. Just like if either one of you left and Felix Apollonia came up here and said, this is the person I want as a Democrat to fill a Democrat seat, whether I like the person or not, or I get along with them, or I disagree, I would respect his decision in filling that seat. If this were an election, it'd be done by the people. I personally don't feel, I know it's an appointment, but we're not appointing to a board. This is a council, we're gonna be sitting with this person. So I don't feel that it's up to us. I think I'll accept any Republican nomination.
So,
Reasonable nomination, I should say.
well, I do have a couple of questions, concerns myself.
And that's up to them
Yeah, but
to get a
But
person.
again, you were already part of the process. I wasn't, she wasn't, he wasn't. You were already part of the process. A process I didn't know was happening. You were part of the interview process,
Well, hang on, no,
right? Hold on,
I was asked.
but you were part of the interview
No, I
process.
wasn't, no, hang on a minute. Okay, let me clarify that. Mark Bourget was a Republican. He was not here. He was away on a cruise. So Tammy Collins called me up and said, as a sitting council person, would you be available if we would interview candidates to give them a council perspective if they had any questions? I didn't interview. I'm not making a choice. I don't care who you pick. It's up to you. I was there in case somebody had
But
questions.
you were able to sit in the room and listen to
Correct.
those answers. Okay, I wasn't.
Right,
She
okay.
wasn't, he wasn't.
But it's
So
still,
you-
it doesn't matter.
But you heard the answers, right? I didn't. So you have your choice. And I don't even know, they interviewed somebody else. I don't even know if you were part of that interview.
My choice is whoever she picks.
Okay. But
That's my
again,
choice.
Well,
And
so-
whoever
so-
he picks. We all sat and talked, Mark Bourget left,
And then secondly,
right? If he left, right? And we all said how he did a great job, we respect him and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And he's, knowing Mark, as we all know, agree or disagree with him, I feel he's not gonna put anybody in place that he wouldn't want to fill out the remainder of his term.
but again, that's my second part. If Dave Goslin resigns today, and I said, I'm out, somebody might even cheer, but
Some, yeah.
but if I did that and chose who I wanted to take over for me, those people who would cheer would be up here saying that's BS.
It doesn't matter though.
But that's
If-
what would happen.
But it doesn't matter.
But
If
you know what
so
I
you
know,
would go
that's what
through,
will
you would go through the Democrat.
No, he doesn't bring the name forward. He didn't bring the name forward for the
But
school committee.
that's on you and him. If you had somebody, you're a Democrat, they're a Democrat, Dave, I'm gonna say, you know what? I believe in your judgment, then here you go.
But we did.
Congratulations.
did
That's
just
what
have-
that's what I would say.
We did just have an ordinance where we decide, nothing in the ordinance said that whether it's Democrat, Republican, or unaffiliated, that somebody gives us a recommendation, and then I mean, again, we might still all come to the same conclusion
I
at this
value-
point anyway, but.
I value the recommendation, but I don't think that it is fair to, if there is someone else out there or 42 other people out there that are Republicans that live in Ward 5 and they want to submit their name, and that may not even come to fruition. It might not even happen, but we should give them the opportunity to do
I have
that.
one other question. I had somebody bring to my attention, they were unaffiliated and they were interested in it. What's the protocol if they were to become part of the Republican Party? I mean, they don't know,
They can change their political affiliation.
but is there like is there a time window where?
No.
It could be next day.
Not because there's no declaration of candidacy issue, so you have a 90-day period of time under the law because there's no election.
So if somebody
It's an
were to
appointment,
change
it's an
tomorrow,
appointment.
today, they could still
Immediate.
potentially be eligible for it. I mean,
Right.
Just say I want to be on the council, I'm a Republican tomorrow.
It only
no,
if
no,
they're
no, well, no,
unaffiliated.
we would, I mean, but I'm saying, would they be
You may
eligible?
not
to-
like it, but that's the law.
Right, I don't like it. I don't think it's right. But it is what it is. But I still think it should go channel through that party to do the legwork and to present, whether it's one or we have 3 people interested. Here you go, here are the 3, they'll all be great, here you go. And I would feel the same way if it's
Well,
Democrat.
that-
Doesn't matter.
Can I ask, Tammy, can we ask her? Yeah, no, that's what I'm asking, yeah, if you don't mind. 'Cause- And maybe I saw it wrong, but had you put something on social media afterwards, where you still could potentially be talking to other people? I mean,
And I have talked to other people
Okay.
since that time.
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
so
does that change your opinion?
we have still gone with our original
Okay.
candidate, but the other candidates were all wonderful. And we just made a decision based on, the whole town committee discussed it
But the same type
together.
of thing where even though you did support him, you were willing to listen and hear potential other people.
Absolutely.
right? And I think
Yep.
I think we want to do the same thing. That's all we want to do.
And I
Well,
think
what
that's
wanna do. I
reasonable.
can't speak for everybody, but.
So the one you just read to us, there is another one that's also on Municode that says, if a vacancy shall occur, blah, 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 if you go down to the bottom of Part B, provided that the one chosen by the town council shall be of the same political party, such political party allegiance to be verified in writing to the president of the town council by the town party committee of such political party.
We would,
And that was amended.
Right, so,
Because if you look at the first page, it actually, section B, that's all been,
right, but I'm just saying Municode has that piece though, without that cutout.
Uniform only updates. We're actually going through that process.
so Municode.
This was done in 2010, so it was 13 years ago and it
We
hasn't
This one
changed yet.
just passed the
Just-
last election. So
A year
Unicode's got
ago.
so this top one will be updated into Unicode these all rest will be deleted. Because they only update once a year, you said? Which is weird.
Which is very weird.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, as far as we went in good faith by what it was on Municode and there were 3 different versions, so we,
we
as the
understand.
political party.
I think you went through the process. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
But I.
Absolutely, but
Believe it or not,
obviously
I
this
had,
is
I
someone
had a
working with you.
conversation with Mark, and it was based upon, Mark Roger, that is.
Yes,
Based upon Mark's, Dennison's email to us as a council,
yes.
saying that he was approached in September. So I asked Mark, Sunday night he had called me and I spoke to him, and I asked him, I said, Mark, if you knew in September that you were doing this, I would rather have him here, part of the process. If he would have told us in September,
Absolutely.
and I know it was his choice, and he gave me his reasons for his choice.
Right.
I understand those reasons, but personally, he could have been up here as a vote as his replacement. That's the way I would have liked to seen it, but that's not what happened.
And that makes perfect sense too. And like we talked about, if there's ways to make the charter more clear on this going forward, I think it would benefit the whole town council. But it's fine, whatever you guys decide, we respect that. We just wanted to help
And you-
facilitate
so you
things.
actually started the process for us, so that's perfect.
We did, yes. And it's been up since our last town council meeting. It's been up on Facebook and all the town pages. I was gonna put it in the Times, but the Times is so small that I didn't think I'd reach
It is.
anybody.
I don't know. I think we've done that in the past. And maybe it should be on the website.
And the website would be tremendous, yeah, if we could, obviously I
And-
couldn't do
and-
that, but
Have a, and
I mean, again, we did this when we had the school committee vacancy.
Mhm.
And being a Ward 5 resident, I care. But we did a Times article, we did a code red, and I believe we posted it on the website as well under vacancies and maybe even a highlighted item.
Highlight, yeah.
And I was gonna ask about the code red. I wasn't sure what the cost to the town was in that, so I didn't wanna.
2 minutes of my time.
Beautiful, then there we go.
Yeah.
I was gonna do one tomorrow for trash pickup and holiday schedules and all that, so
That's always a good thing,
I
yes.
can add it to the list.
So with that said,
And I can also do a isolated one just to Ward 5, but I'd rather, it's not
Do it all in one.
just one big town-wide one, so if people know somebody, they can get the word out.
So is there a particular deadline that would,
I mean, personally,
If I may, the last time this happened with the appointment of Angela Coburn after Steve Lawton had resigned, the process started really on August 13th. There was a letter sent by the town manager on August 12th to Kendra Gravel of the Times. And the council at that time said they wanted all responses in by August 27th, giving you at least 2 full weeks. Interested persons most likely will likely meet with a joint work group of the town council and school committee during the 3rd week of September. Town council is hoping to appoint a designee at its meeting on Tuesday, September 21st. However, since there was only one candidate, Angela Coburn, that came forward, I don't believe there were any other candidates.
one person removed their name last month.
All right, so the council ended up appointing Angela on September 7th. So there was at least 3, maybe 4 weeks between resignation and appointment. So he did take the time to have a process, and it was followed. The manager sent out the notice. It was also in the Times, and I'm assuming on town's website.
Yeah.
So if you follow that process, you're doing the same thing. The only difference between then and now is the change in the 403. We got to amend the portion of it.
Yeah, I think that was also a different process because at that point, we, as a council, almost didn't agree that we should have been appointing, considering it was a school committee, and we kind of asked the school committee for their, I mean, they were the ones that were gonna be working side by side with them. I think it was similar, but I think it was a different situation.
But this time, since they're working side by side with you, you can't ignore what the law is and how it was amended in 403.
so do we say we want all letters of interest by the 5th, which is our next meeting? I mean,
That's totally up to the council.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you can say the 5th, but that means somebody can come in at 5 o'clock and we really can't review it.
no, I don't think
So-
I think the letter of interest has to be there. And if we don't get one, then that's an easy call.
But if you get 5 letters of interest by the
You wanna-
5th,
you
and
wanna look at 'em,
everybody stays in, you're still gonna have to have a second meeting, which would be, I don't know how many meetings, are you gonna have 2 meetings in December?
Yeah.
So the second meeting in December, you'd have to whittle the list down and
Yeah, we-
decide whether or not you want to interview them or just select from the list that's presented to you by the clerk. So the second meeting would be the 21st.
The 19th.
19th.
I mean, that's fine with me. That's the only way we can do a timeline anyway.
As long as we make sure we get the word out and you can do a code red and we can put it on our website. I don't know who does that if it's,
And then by that, go by that timetable, then potentially appointing on the 19th or.
at the very latest on the 2nd. I assume we're meeting on the 2nd.
January 2nd.
And also, do you want the clerk to put a posted paid-for advertisement in the Times? Because last time there was a story and the Times really isn't doing what they used to do.
So is the
She
story
declines to do a
paid?
story?
Yeah, if she did, I mean,
I don't
so
know.
I would think it would,
I think she
I
would
think it's
probably be more than-
newsworthy, I think.
I mean, if she did a story, do you think that would suffice? I mean,
Well, and we can also put it on our billboard.
Oh,
I mean,
there you go.
you know,
what is
why not?
what does an ad go for in the Times these
No,
days?
he's right. If there was already a story about Mark's resignation, I'm sure she'd follow it up with a
Yeah,
notice. of,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that would suffice. I mean, because we don't have a legal requirement to have to put an ad in there, but I think if we have a front page story, it's gonna be getting more eyes than if we did an ad anyway.
So Mark, you can reach out to the Times and persuade them that it should be top of fold.
Added to tomorrow's list.
Perfect.
I just want to state for the record, I know I have met with two people that have been interested. One was Mark Dennison, and the other one I spoke to over the phone was Jim Marsh.
I just,
So-
I'm gonna meet and talk to Mark next week.
And the Republicans met with Jim Marsh and Mark Dennison also, so. So if other people come in, will the
Just out
Republicans
of-
be able to?
Can you give us the
Absolutely.
names of the other two candidates that you interviewed?
That doesn't really,
Well, if they apply, that means they.
well, we,
interview.
I would assume out of courtesy, we would share the names with Tammy.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. I can certainly share those names with you, but will we be able to meet with the folks if anyone else applies too?
Yeah.
Question that line is when the political-
If they reach out to you?
If they reach out to you, sure. but
Yeah,
sharing
with-
information, you can get it to 'em.
So if three more names come to us.
Yep.
And you're bringing forth a name.
Mhm.
And I'm supporting your decision,
Mhm.
and you haven't interviewed these three people who could very well, one of the three people, like, could be anybody.
Could be,
that-
right.
That you choose differently.
We will recommend, I would recommend that they reach out to
They
Tammy.
reach out to us.
Yeah,
That's fair enough.
That's what I
That-
would
That's
recommend.
perfectly
I
fair.
wouldn't, I
enough.
wouldn't
Yeah.
know, I wouldn't
Anybody
see
who's
why they
reached
wouldn't
out to
want to
me,
reach
I
out
said
to you if,
reach out to
yeah.
her.
And that's what I'm hoping
Yeah,
too,
it wouldn't,
but I want to
it wouldn't
make.
benefit them
Yeah.
to not reach
Right.
out to you.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tammy,
And well,
for
and well,
being involved.
well, their letters of interest will be, I mean, they'll be public, right? They'll be like on correspondence if they, is it similar to any other board? If they send a letter of interest to
Appointment,
us?
right?
I mean,
An
that's what I'm asking.
appointment has to go the same way,
I
right?
would think that any letters that people
But
interest,
we'll
they should,
we don't know, yeah, we'll figure that out. I don't know
somebody
the
who sends
answer
a
to
letter of
that.
interest, I mean, it should be public the same way as anybody else applying for a board, right? Part of- Yeah,
Yep.
so,
An appointment.
so you'll be able to, so I mean, you'll be able to see all the,
Okay.
so you'll be able to see all the names that,
Perfect.
Might want to think about talking to the British president and see if they.
Correct.
interview.
Correct.
You can't mandate that.
Oh, no,
No.
yeah, that's fair enough though. If that's
Yeah.
good for you guys, that works for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank you.
thank you.
So just to clarify, all applications or letters of interest should be into the town council by December 5th, 4:30 PM? 4:30 PM, postmarked at the clerk's office. And then we'll go from there. Any questions from the council? Thank you. We'll bring it up there in public comment.
Approval of sewer abatement in the amount of $778.40 for Jason and Erica Citrano.
Why do we have to
Just do
do
this.
this?
Yes.
You just did it. didn't
We did it as part of as the commission. Why do we have to do it as the town council?
That's one of the questions that Anthony asked me, and I said, you're right, you shouldn't have to do it
No.
because it was already done at the sewer commission, so
Exactly.
you can,
we? 03 and 04.
yes.
Right.
So you can
Right.
bump those two out.
All right, so no action on those. Okay. Request from the West Warwick Boys Basketball for program sponsorship.
Move approval of, I don't even think you can get a full page, but it's $100 for half a page.
Larry, you want to answer that one?
The 100th year
I
anniversary.
second it first. Somebody
Eh.
move it. I'm gonna
Move in
second.
You didn't
She
hear
put
you?
that on.
We're gonna have another outdated picture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're just,
Oh,
yeah.
Just got it. I don't even, it's not even up on the wall yet, right?
We'll just wait them out.
Oh, is it
Is
up there
that-
now?
yeah.
It's finally up there. Okay.
All right, so he is doing a book, it's gonna be basically like this, open it up, this half page, and then he's doing quarters for the 50. So.
Oh, so an 8.5 by 11 is a half page?
Yeah.
Really?
Really? That's a full page.
Yeah, me too, but that's all right.
All right, any
I'll make
questions
the
on that?
motion to approve that.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Can I get rid of this one now?
Oh, I have extras, I brought in case you all wanted to plan.
Capital Improvement Program, Police Cars, fiscal year 2024.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Chief?
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Just looking for authorization to purchase 3 vehicles. They're unmarked police cars. for our administrative fleet and our unmarked patrol division.
Any questions for the chief on that?
How fast does pursuit rated go?
It's just the terminology, the heavy duty suspension, heavy duty
Right.
brakes. They're not supercharged, they're not turbocharged, they're not, yeah, we're not breaking the
That going
sound
down
barriers.
Wakefield Street, yeah.
no.
no,
You'd be all right
alright.
to go on
No.
Queenston Avenue with those?
Yeah,
yeah.
well, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve this.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
It's Thanksgiving, but Merry Christmas.
Bid award and funding plan for ice chiller system for the ice rink.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Who wants to discuss this one?
I'll start it. The Cliff Note version is, we did an RFP months ago that some questions had come up with the process, the technical aspects, and there was some debate. So we engaged Jeremiah and Associates, our contracted engineering firm, and got mechanical engineering expertise involved. They redid the RFP so they could speak the language with potential vendors. That went out and has come back. We're recommending that the bid be awarded to the lowest bidder, which is North Star Refrigeration of Plymouth, Mass, in the amount of $949,980. As far as a funding proposal, we're suggesting that we break this up, and obviously you can change it, but our suggestion is that we do $500,000 from American Rescue Plan funds and authorize our finance director to seek appropriate financing for the balance of $449,980, which would be paid out of the annual budget from the Civic Center enterprise operating budget. So we'd seek terms for the lease. We come back with a separate resolution for that to get final approval once that was squared away with our council.
Probably not gonna get that 1.97 rate, huh? Maybe not, yeah.
So Mark, question on this. I know when this came to us about 6 months ago, we had the two companies and both same companies, but the bid that we were gonna go with before everything got questioned was, I believe, like 700 and something thousand. How come, is there a reason why we're at, for both companies, 900 and change? Like a $200,000 difference.
Jim had conversations with all the companies, obviously, like anything else, everything has gone up.
Electrify. No, basically what the RFP that was put out was not defined. It was very vague and it didn't get into the specifics about demolition, maintenance, removal of the old equipment, glycol that's required and all of those things. So the mechanical, our subconsultant who does the mechanical work, met with Lori and then went and visited the site and did a detailed scope of services. So the reason you didn't select a low bid or it wasn't, you couldn't compare apples and apples. What we have now is a competitive bid. Whether the number is higher or lower, the low bidder was, I think it was like 885,000, something like that. So he went up a little bit over that period of time, but he is still a low bidder. The two bids that came in, when you know you've got a competitive bid, they're within 3% of one another. So the two reputable companies that do this type of work. I can't speak to the other scope. All I can do is talk to, everything is very specific. You know how our bids are, very, very specific as to the timing, the requirements and all of that. So that's all I can speak to. I really don't, why 700,000 versus 900,000? Because these, I believe, were the two bidders before, weren't they, Laurie?
I think if we wait any longer, you're gonna see it go over $1 million.
Oh, easy. Because just the delivery on some of this equipment, the electrical components are over a year out on a lot of these stuff, so.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mark on this? Hearing none.
Approve.
Not stuff.
There was a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed? Ayes have it.
thank you. Happy
Thank you, Jim.
Thanksgiving.
Have a
Yeah.
good Thanksgiving. Lori, Merry Christmas to you too.
It covers both of them.
And next Christmas too.
Reallocation of residual funds from Resolution 2023-111 for Civic Center Plaza improvements.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, discussion, Mark?
So back in October, you approved a resolution to have the walkways redone, and the estimated cost was going to be $20,000. The invoice came in a little less than that. So we're just looking to reallocate those funds by resolution, since it's American Rescue Plan funds, that $2,005 to offset some cost of the flag poles and lighting and whatever else needs to be done. Won't cover all the costs, but for American Rescue Plan purposes, we need just to clarify the resolution.
Any questions for Mark? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye,
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Update on school building committee formation.
So this one, I don't have a specific update yet. We're still working with council to determine the proper course of action as far as the formation of a building committee. So as of now, we're just going to, the school department has an internal building committee that we meet with a couple times a year to review things. We're going to start with that group to work out some logistics while we formulate the proper plan, whether we need a new resolution to form a new committee or the proper path.
so
do that
there'll
openly
be
and
work done
transparently.
because time is of the essence. That's the message I got 2 weeks
Right.
ago.
The school department needs to do some studies in order to start the plan as far as, space needs and what options there are.
So you're looking for members of the public to be on this committee?
First, we're gonna figure out the
Legality of it.
the
Yeah.
organization and formulation. And the recommendation from RIDE is 2 members of the public. One that's familiar with the education and school component, and another that's familiar with engineering, architecture, or construction. So the school department has somebody that they like, that's an involved parent. And we collectively, I assume at some point in the very near future, try to seek somebody that has that other area of expertise too.
So would this be an appointment? That so
I
can we
would-
put
I
that
would
up
think it
to
would
code
be.
red like we do all the other appointments?
As soon as I have a firm plan, I'll add it to the follow-up call. And obviously, anyone that knows anybody that's an interest, please have them
Submit an application.
out. So they don't get missed.
Any questions for Mark? Thank you, Mark. Karen? I know you've been patiently waiting for that.
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as an alternate member for a 3-year term. Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. West Warwick Housing Authority, appointment or reappointment for 5-year term expiring November 2027. That planning board appointment was filled last meeting, so that is not actually a vacancy. I apologize for the error. And Tax Assessment Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy for a 3-year term. Correspondence?
Again, this is just a letter from Tammy Collins that I received, and I had Sarah put it on here for all of you to have record and copy of that letter. Public comment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Oates, 6 Colonial Way. In regards to item H2, Ward 5, Mr. Bourget resigned, it was 2 weeks ago?
November 8th, I think, was his official date.
Okay, so that's 2 weeks,
Yes.
3 weeks?
Yep.
His resignation. Anybody in this town that cares for what goes on, pays attention on the TV or in this room, And I think anybody who has any interest already knew that the vacancy was there. And I would have thought that if they were interested in the job, they would have reached out for this. So, just something to think about. This dragging on now for a couple of more weeks. This is gonna go out for December 5th. That's the letters of interest have to be into the town clerk by December 5th.
1:30 p.m.
And then what day is that? If I,
Tuesday.
so it's okay. So then those will be discussed that night at that meeting, I would imagine.
Probably not because, I mean, we can't discuss it, but we'll have record of who had. I mean, we can say how many people applied. It's not
Okay.
gonna be, I mean, somebody might come in that day, but everything for the agenda the week before has to be in by Wednesday. So if they come in between Wednesday and Tuesday, their name really can't be on the agenda.
Okay, it's just, I hate seeing this drag out longer than it needs to. And I don't know how many people would ever be interested in putting their head on the block, being a target like you folks do every meeting. It's a difficult, thankless job. And anyone wanted it, I think they would have jumped in by now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does it have to go to 2 weeks? What if we change that deadline to the Thursday before? That way, Sarah gets everything in. She can forward everything to us. We can look at it. It goes on the agenda. We have the weekend to look at it. And then, because I don't want to see it drag out either. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, we know there's not going to be too much interest. We've all been in politics. I'm the one that loses out here. I have to share a mic again, with somebody. But I would just rather see the seat filled by somebody.
And Jay, I understand that, but, so, like you stated earlier, you were there to hear the questions, okay? What if we have those same questions and we want to ask those questions? Say we want to interview those individuals. Do you have the list of questions that we may use and ask?
I didn't ask any
Okay.
questions.
Well, and again, that will give the opportunity. The date doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't,
No, I don't disagree with Mr.
but there
Oates.
also shouldn't be a rush
People have
too.
kind of heard about it. We're advertising it. So again, I don't have a problem. I just going with the majority of the council, whatever you guys want at first,
You've already decided what you were going to do. If you're going to revisit it, you might want to reopen that part of the agenda.
Alan?
Alan Palazzo, 5 Robin Lane, and a couple of items. Finally, the podium. You didn't let me thank those students because I'm the one who's been complaining for 2 years, and I think they would have appreciated something from someone who's going to use it. It looks perfect. I can't wait to actually use it. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is kudos to Chief Barone for the hazmat plan. One of the questions I asked was about EV fires. He's way ahead of the game, and having been a damage control officer on a Navy ship, I understand Class Delta fires, throw him overboard. With an electric vehicle, he's got his hands full. They're looking ahead of time and give them anything they want. Also, kudos to Jeff for Shady Hill. There was a spot up there where they had taken up the asphalt. I've been watching it. He assured me it would be done. They were waiting to make sure they do it perfectly, and it is done. So kudos to DPW on that. Now, item with regard to the appointment for my council person, male, female, whoever it may be. I know after the last meeting, Mr. Bourget, as his last official act, submitted an agenda item. And if I recall, it said discussion, action, regarding the appointment of the Ward 5 council person. That's not what is on this agenda, and I know he submitted it. I spoke with his wife on Sunday. So that bothers me, and I asked Sarah, where did that come from? And she said she had it in her notes that the council had, recommended that verbiage. However, what I find lacking in the town, and maybe someone can point it out to me, is exactly the rules for this town council. Where are they located? Because I've gone through various towns, North Kingston, Narragansett, Martha's Vineyard, the Ethics Commission, and there are specific rules as to who can put an item on the agenda and who can discuss it. I like Narragansett, it's very specific as to what happens. Mr. Goslin, you only allow public comment or the public to comment on ordinances and licenses. Where is that written? You pulling that out of the air? Because in Narragansett, they're very specific. People, if the item is on the agenda, people can come up and ask a question. If it's not on the agenda, then they can make a public comment to bring up an item, but they cover both bases. So where are our rules? Where do I go to determine what the rules are for this town council? Because by law, you're supposed to have them. So where are they? Maybe Mr. Williamson can answer that. He doesn't have to, but maybe he can answer it, or maybe you can answer it. I would request that you put that on the next agenda so that, hey, maybe we can come up with procedures so the public knows exactly where to go to look for the procedures. They can also, one of the towns, the public may submit written comments by, I believe it's the Thursday before the council meetings, so that they can address items that are on the agenda. So you'd be able to see what the public would like to ask during a town council meeting. Right now, we're totally lacking. We're amateurs, okay? And just to give you an example, we used to have a saying in the Navy, the 7 Ps. I'll only give you the 5. Prior planning prevents poor performance. At this meeting, you said, hey, if someone's interested in the Ward 5 seat, they have to have their letter in by 1600 on the 5th. Wrong. Then you couldn't discuss it. However, if those letters are in by 1600, or actually on the 30th or the 29th, then you could put it on the agenda. You would have that, and then maybe ask questions at that council meeting. It doesn't take, and you've already said it, it doesn't take much to just change the date of when the letters are supposed to be in instead of the time of the meeting. That's poor planning, okay? I just looked at when that was discussed, I just looked at my calendar and said, what the hell are they doing? They can't discuss anything. Total BS, as everything else is in this town. And I'll lay it out that way so the people out there watching can see the way we do business. You guys also quoted that you've changed Article 403 in the town charter. While the meeting was going on, before that came to light, I looked at 403 in the town charter. How are people in this town supposed to know what the updated articles are within our government documents? Okay? It doesn't take much to put them online. So that's another item where we do business and people don't know what the hell's going on in this town. And lastly, with regard to, I am a member of Ward 5. I'm a resident there. And I definitely take umbrage in the fact that I'm having to wait to have a representative for my ward on this council because you guys can't get it straight. We used to have a great town planner in this town called Dave Dotis, who eventually was let go. But I still remember his remarks to the town council president at the time. He said, "You don't want a town planner. You want a co-conspirator." Okay, and I'll lay that out there because I'm quoting him on that. You don't want a Ward 5 councilman. In my opinion, you want somebody you can control. Okay, you have a very well qualified man there who will, I feel very strongly that he will represent the interests of the residents of Ward 5. And you people are denying us in Ward 5 a representative, okay? You're gonna drag this thing out until possibly January, November, December. Why 60 days? Anyone who's interested in this seat can, as a Republican, can go see Sarah tomorrow morning and become a Republican instantaneously. And you can attest to that fact, can't you? Because guess who did it? I did. Exactly. And it came up via the Secretary of State. I was a Republican within a minute of the town entering that data. Anyone who wants to become a member of the Republican Party can do that. I've heard one name bandied about tonight, and I don't see the gentleman here. You interviewed him on the phone. If he's so intent on,
I had conversation with him on the phone and told him to either watch tonight's meeting or come to tonight's meeting to hear the process.
exactly.
He
Mr.
could be at
Jim
home
Marsh.
watching now, and just like you say, everybody else is home watching.
Exactly. Mr. Jim Marsh, are you here? I think not. So I guess he's not really that interested. So I'll leave it at that. But I am very upset that I'm going to be going almost 2 months without a representative from my ward. And there are issues in Ward 5. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you and have a happy Thanksgiving. We already know I've seen pictures of a turkey.
Meetings tonight. Derek Reed, 62 Andrews Ave. My buddy Alan over there, he teaches me how to take notes, so I wrote some notes for tonight. I'm gonna start with number 1, River Point Park. The sign says it's open dusk till dawn down there, and then the gate gets locked. Why do the taxpayers have to follow that rule? And I'm gonna ask David this. So why as taxpayers are we gonna follow that rule? What happens if we don't? No, I'm asking
It's
the
an
council.
ordinance.
Okay, so what happens if,
You're gonna ask me why?
what happens
people
if we
can't
don't
use
follow the
park
ordinance?
after dusk
Chief,
till dawn?
what happens if we don't follow the ordinance?
Sure. You can answer it if you want to.
Yeah.
It is an ordinance that you'd have to be asked to leave, and if you did not leave, then you could be cited to appear in municipal court.
Okay. How many citations have we written down there in the woods? The fire's burning at night.
Oh, Derek, I don't patrol the park.
Okay. I'm building behind River Point Park, as we all know. I am tired of going down there and seeing fires in the woods at night. As a taxpayer, I can't be there at night. When that fire spreads and comes across the vines to the other side of the thing, who's paying for all the damage to all those buildings over there? All the trucks are gonna explode, all that stuff. But as a taxpayer, we can't be in there. We're gonna get summons. I want a list of the summons, and I want something done with River Point. When you look across that river, the camouflage is gone now. You don't need to go peeking through the bushes. It's gone. You're gonna see fire at night. It's all leaves, it's all underbrush, shit burns. What are we gonna do? You're telling me I'm gonna get a summons if I'm there after dark. What about the ones down there now? Having a grand old time. What about the people that are trying to walk on the river walk and can't enjoy the river walk without being harassed? You know, you saw that post on Facebook. But I believe you commented, or one of you commented, right? It's BS. So you just answered my question. I'm gonna get a summons for being in there after dark. But if I fall on bad times and I'm homeless, I guess I can live there, right? Is that how this works? You're the governing body. Tell somebody to do something about it. It's either for one or for all. That's the ordinance. Not because we feel bad for them. No, it's all BS. It's one or all. So if I get a summons, they get a summons. Right? Crickets. So that's number one. Number two, Flat Top Park. I was a part of the discussion for the playground equipment down there. Mark Bourget was adamant about Flat Top Park. I've heard Councilman Licciardi adamant about Flat Top Park. I've heard families. Where is it? We picked the color, and I'm not asking Jeff, town manager should know. I was asked about the color. I said, what's available? Jeff told me green and brown. Great. Where is it? Okay. Number three, Crompton Playground. I sat through a Zoom meeting. This beautiful plan. We cut down trees. We made a mess. We haven't done nothing. We got a grant in place. How long is the grant good for? Anybody know? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Your facts are wrong. We met as recently as a couple days ago. They're doing soil samples. The grant's good for the year. There's a fairly aggressive
But
plan.
what I'm
to get
getting,
an
what I'm
RFP.
getting at, Mark, is we start projects in this town and we don't finish. Should have never started the project until we had a plan in place to fix it. And I believe I said
Fairly
that.
extensive plan, and it's a lot of processes that coordinating with lots of people, and I'm sure you're aware of it being in the construction business, that sometimes you're at the whims of other
I
contractors
understand
and
that,
supply
but
issues, so.
let's not take the place apart unless we're ready to put it back together, which we're not. I sat through that meeting. I mean, there was a lot of colorful things on there, but what did I say? It's not practical, right? I did make that comment. Is there a final plan in place since that meeting?
Since a couple days ago,
No, since that meeting, that Zoom meeting with the architect.
and we just had a meeting, and he's going through the revisions and based
Yeah.
on soil samples and drainage needs.
There's been dialogue with the architect and a timeline in place. Gonna meet the timeline, I don't know.
Probably not.
Well, everything that is based on the previous step. So there was a meeting that was just held. And then looking at the winter to get the ground ready for the spring. So.
I'd be glad to see it, but
Me too.
I'm just saying, this town is notorious for starting projects and not finishing it. And nobody can deny that. Where are we with the recreation fund? Something I drove the whole time I was on rec committee. Do we have one? Are we talking about one?
Do we have a recreation committee? That's
No,
my
not that I know of, because we weren't needed.
been on the council for 7 years. I've been
Well-
pushing this. We've had 2 meetings in 7 years. You know,
So I was glad to be a part of that, but
I hear you.
when you're told you're not needed, we're not gonna utilize you, I have no use for it.
Who told you that?
Huh?
Who told you that?
Some people, but I won't throw people under the bus, because I know better than that.
I think I highly recommended everybody to go to your committee, everything that came forward. I think I highly recommended that.
Yeah. Well, what was put in front of us by this town? Anything? What was put in front of us by DPW? Anybody? What was put in front of us by the town planner? Anything? Nothing. And then as a tree warden, I made recommendations to people in this room. Town planner, she left. There's safety issues on 117. There's 4 trees down at the mills. Mr. Wonderful probably knows, but he don't look. Okay? You can't get a baby carriage behind the tree between that and the guardrail. I watch them go in the street. Now it looks like somebody plowed one over with a car. You make these recommendations, you don't get nothing. Zero. Safety hazards, that was means nothing. That's a state road. So what? Get the chainsaw, cut it down. They're gonna send you a bill because you took their tree down? No. Are they? Trees look like shit. Cut them down. Sidewalks are popped up. Cut them down. Let them keep blowing the sidewalks up, then people trip and fall, we get some more money to Mr. Williamson. I mean, let's get this figured out. There's nothing getting done here. It's BS. And for the record, the Reed family doesn't need a mouthpiece. I'll end it at that.
One more item, Alan Plaza, 5 Robin Lane, West Warwick. And this is for the council and the superintendent regarding the new school. I'm intimately familiar with what went on, and I'll call them shenanigans, as my brother did, with regard to Wakefield Hills Elementary School, okay? I would caution this council and the superintendent, when she comes up with her building committee, that they go with a design, bid, build format, vice what they did on Wakefield Hills, design, build, okay? The original recommendation for that school was gonna be $8 million. One of the former town council president, and I said, no, it's gonna be way higher than that. And more like about 12 million. One of the former presidents said, despite what Mr. Palazzo said, that school will be built for $10 million or it won't be built at all, okay? I stopped tracking the expenditures when it exceeded $12 million $1, okay? So that building committee didn't have it correctly. Palazzo did. I also recommended when they were going there that maybe they should put air conditioning in that school. I don't believe they did. If you go up there and look at it, some of the work was relatively, I won't say done improperly, but there's cracks in the sidewalks, et cetera. I went up there one time to listen to a presentation. On the other hand, Mr. Fung should have stayed here because Cranston built a fantastic school for $8 million, whereas West Warwick taxpayers went on the high side of 12 million. So this is the way we do business in this town. I would caution you and the superintendent to put together a very professional building committee, hold a charrette. So maybe people in the community would have an input where it could be located. I grew up in Natick. I knew exactly what they were doing when they said, oh, we're going to put it in a Natick ball field, okay? That was a pond when I grew up until it was backfilled by the residents of that area who wanted to build a baseball field for the children of that area, okay? Get it right. I'm tired of having money thrown away with no one held accountable. That's all I want to do. I want to caution you. Okay, this town spent a lot of money for 15 acres up on Wakefield Street, 5 of which are unusable wetlands. We don't want to repeat that again.
Councilman Bourget is on Zoom. If you'd like to.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Mark, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hey, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. I'm driving up the highway right now, so that's why there's no picture. I caught the tail end of the filling of my seat. I just want to apologize to Mr. Plazo, the residents of Ward 5 and the residents of the town. I explained to Dave why I did things the way I did it. I thought I was doing the right way to try and mitigate stuff like this from happening, and apparently I failed. So I will take responsibility for this being a much longer drawn out process than what it needed to be. I still fully support Mark Dennison, and I hope that the council gives him very strong consideration. And that's about all I have to say on that. The only other thing I want to say is happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks, Mark.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mark.
John Reed, 62 Windows Avenue. I'm just looking for some clarification on two things. You're gonna pick the person for Ward 5, correct?
Council
It's your
appoints.
sole decision. Okay. Where does the Republican Party come in this? Don't they vent their own people and present them to you?
Not a requirement.
Not a requirement.
No.
So theoretically, the Republican Party has no say in what Republican representation they're gonna have. Is that what I'm being told?
We're giving the courtesy of them letting them recommend, but doesn't mean we have to go with that recommendation.
And there's no,
Democracy dies in darkness.
I won't even ask the council, I'll find out for myself. That, something about that doesn't sound,
It's right here, and actually, believe it or not, who was the biggest advocate for that?
We can't
Mr.
see
Palazzo.
that. Excuse me, we can't see that.
Here you
You
go.
told us that we can't see it.
Here,
It's
Mr.
not
Palazzo.
anywhere on the town
Mr.
document.
Palazzo, one more time you're leaving, okay?
Excuse me.
Stop yelling from the crowd.
Yep. So I believe that is,
That's the updated copy?
This is the updated copy with the
Excuse me,
detracted.
is that online?
Stop yelling.
it-
Excuse me,
Mr.
I'm
Palazzo,
asking the question.
stop
Is
yelling.
that online?
Stop, yes, it is.
yes, it
Stop
is.
yelling.
Yes,
I
it
looked at
is.
403, and you're telling me there was an updated copy.
This came from Tammy Collins from online. There's two others in part of Unicode, but the latest one is sitting right there online.
Okay, because I looked earlier and read 403.
I can't do the internet for you, Mr. Palazzo. Here it is.
You said there was an updated copy, okay?
It is, it's online. It's right here. This is printed off online.
From the town chart.
Yes.
I will look.
all right, so we'll all look into it. My other question is, and I really have no part of it anymore, but I just like to clarify because I got people calling me. There's being work done on the front half of the memorial between the ice rink and the Civic Center. Is there a plan out on that?
You want to answer it?
We have a conceptual idea on what we want to do. We're still teetering on plantings that'll happen in the spring when things will live, and then a finalized plan for what will go in the middle, other than lights and flagpoles.
Okay. Have any of you personally seen that, the council members?
I was there the other day, yes.
I've been doing this a couple of days, so maybe I'm not good at what I do. But in my vision, there are three focal points up there, okay? You have the memorial, you have the main entrance to the Civic Center, and you have the main entrance to the hockey rink, at the top of the hill. Therefore, under pedestrian traffic routing, okay, you would want, in my opinion, an hourglass walkway in the middle, okay? So that whoever's entering that portion of the property, that's the focal points that you're directing people to go to. What I see up there is two roads on either side that do intersect with the top one. But I don't think that, and it's already done, so, I mean, you know, we're a day late and a dollar short. I don't think that was a proper way to present what you want to do. Forget John Reed and the memorial, forget that. That's a town in the Denison. It just doesn't make any sense that you've got these two roadways and whoever did the asphalt didn't match what should have been there, right? But that's neither here nor there. You've got stones as a border that the kids are using to throw. When the upper portion was designed, it was to keep things that children normally play with and not supposed to away. So it's yours, that's yours, you do it, I'm just saying, something's not right with that. And, you know, whatever your vision is or whatever, I mean, that's yours, but I got people calling me, asking me, I got nothing to do with it. Not mine, but in my few years of experience, when you have focal points and you have pedestrian movement, that's the way you send them. Sending them up the sidelines,
I don't know what that means. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Sarah, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier.
No, they were just asking about the ordinances and the charter revisions. And Alan, you might want to listen to this part. When you go to our code of ordinances on the website, on that main page, it gives you a list of ordinances and charter amendments that have been passed within the last year but have not yet been codified, which means because we only submit our package to MuniCode once a year. So those are the ordinances that have passed, whether it be voter passed or council passed, depending on charter or ordinance, but they haven't been put into the actual code yet.
Citizen, I go to the town charter, and I go to section 403. You're saying that I'm expected to go through any amendments and changes that are out there?
They're right up in the front, Alan. They're up in the front before you even go further. So,
If I'm looking for 403, I knew that was the area town council vacant. You're saying that I need to go there and review those, and then, okay, this is good. It doesn't make a difference that I look at 403. It's a huge difference. Yes, it was a Soviet principle. Keep it simple, silly. I won't be. But, you know, it shouldn't be this hard for people to find how their government works.
thank you.
Before you adjourn, you might want to look at changing the date for letters for Ward 5.
Anybody want to reopen that item?
Sure. Move to reopen the item.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I think if Mark puts the code right out, we put it in the Times for the 10 people to read. I think everybody else knows about it. It's online. I can't see any. Listen, if there were a lot of, if I feel there were a lot of other people that would be interested, then let's wait. But we've all ran for office. How many times does it take, to realize that people aren't beating down the door to be up here? I mean, I'd like to move it to the Thursday. She gets it by Thursday at whatever time. It goes up to us. We have it for the weekend. We do it. It just saves us 2 weeks. And then Alan can take that off his list that we don't have a council person up here for Ward 5. So that reduces his list in public comment.
And just to clarify, we
Just still-
still don't even, we might not even have a meeting on December 19th. So if you appoint December 5th, it's still not going to be till January 2nd. So
Why wouldn't we have a meeting?
because we have discussions that if we have nothing, why meet?
As much as we like to do this.
Yeah.
Alan, again, I don't think you're listening. Stop yelling from the crowd and listen to what we just said. December 5th, if we appoint and we don't have a meeting December 9th, then that person comes on January 2nd. So again, you don't have a council person till January 2nd. If we go on the 5th and decide that we want to interview, say if there's 5 people coming up here and we want to interview those 5 people, we have to do something. And then we will meet on December 19th, the week before Christmas, and have that discussion and possibly appoint. But again, that won't be a council person till January 2nd.
But that person could
Because they have to be
prep,
sworn in.
they could be preparing to assume duties.
You're not on public comment anymore. Yeah, we're not on the public comment.
So we
Plaza,
reopen,
would you
so
entertain
Tim,
my comment?
so Tim, we're not public comment anymore, right? We reopen this, we reopen this agenda item.
That's no longer on public comment.
Okay, that's how I feel. If you guys don't feel that way, that's fine. Let's move on. But that's how I feel.
Like I said, whatever the majority of the council wants. Because I've already been accused tonight of rigging, or whatever you want to call it. I've had one of the Republican Party members say, my minion, or not going to interview the person because they're my puppet, which I'm going to tell you something right now. I've served with, I think, 13 different council people up here over 17 years. I don't care who's in that seat. I can work with anybody. That's my personal opinion. Sat down with Mr. Dennison for 3.5 hours the other day. Not just talking about the council, talking about family, talking about life, talking about everything. We had a very good conversation. I think he's a great guy, even before he put his name in. Before everything has happened in this man's life, I've known him. He's a great guy. He's a great family guy. He's a good representative for Ward 5. Jim Marsh is the same guy. And whoever else puts their name in, I just want to hear it. I think there's a process. Again, I said it earlier. If Dave Goslin did it that way, I know damn well how that would go. If I said, here's my replacement, and I gave you my replacement, I know, and nothing against any of you up here. You wouldn't appreciate that.
No.
Right?
Okay.
And I had a heart-to-heart with Mark Sunday. I wish he was here for the process. I really do.
Me too, but he's not.
Yeah. So if
So on the-
if
it's
you're
on the
more
table.
comfortable doing on the 30th, I don't have a problem with that. I don't. So I guess a formal motion would be to change the date for the letters to be in till November 30th at, what'd you say, 4:30?
So if you're making that motion, you need a second.
Does that give you enough time to get that on the agenda?
No.
So what gives you enough time to get that on the agenda?
I think what would make it.
She'll
wanna
do
make sure
whatever
to
we
have-
ask her to
Whatever
do.
you guys want me to do,
Yes,
we'll do
but-
it.
But
Exactly.
what
What gives you-
I
what
just,
gives you
you
enough
might
time?
also want to make sure that candidates have enough time to get their stuff to you too. But if you want to make it 4:30 on,
You know, everybody says we're delaying it. Do they realize Ward 5 was without a candidate, without a representative for over 4 months last time? Why is Ward 5, that same thing with school committee, over 3 months? I joked around with Tammy today, she's gone, but I said, what's going on in Ward 5? Nobody ever seems to fill out the term lately. It's, you know, we joked around about it, but we've done it with school committee, we've done it with Mr. D'Amico, and now we're doing it with Mr. Bourget. So with that being said, you know, I know Alan's frustrated, but he went 4.5 months without a council person last time. I don't know who he called then, but. Well, that one, there's plenty of houses for sale in East Greenwich.
sorry, Mr. Bourget,
Mark, you there?
hold on.
We have an, it's not public
You
comment though,
guys-
right?
Yeah.
This is
We
public
have the item.
comment. You have an agenda item. There was a
Back on
motion
the
made.
agenda item.
So do we want to make it Thursday at noon? So that way she gets time, well, that way she has 4
Our
hours to,
submission for council stuff is Wednesday at noon, but.
so do Wednesday, by Wednesday at 4:30.
Right, that's fine.
It's my, would that be okay? That gives you,
Make
would that
that
be
motion.
okay?
Make the
I- I
motion.
Then
don't
I'll make
care.
the motion for, I don't even know the date, Wednesday,
Wednesday,
Looking for you. It's
December
29.
29th,
29th.
by 4:30 PM for everybody interested to get their applications in, correct?
Now you need a second.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Doesn't matter.
All in favor of the 29th, 4 PM?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Motion to adjourn.
Does Mark want to say something
Mark.
still?
He's not on the Zoom anymore. so-
Okay, all right.
I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Have a good time with your families and
Is this
friends.
Tree lighting?
And also tree lighting is Thanksgiving night down in Phoenix and a tree lighting Monday night at, gazebo.
Fine. Time.
6:30.
This is
Phoenix,
5
well,
to 8.
5 days.
5 to 8, Phoenix is 6 to 8.
Need a second.